Welcome to The Dealership Leader, the podcast where real car people talk real dealership life. I'm your host, Joshua Clinton. I sit down with top performers, managers, and friends from around the industry to share unfiltered stories, hard-won lessons, and practical insights you can use to lead from the front. Let's dive in. All right, everybody. So welcome back to The Dealership Leader, episode 6. We have the one and only RussFlipsWhips. This is Russell Richardson with us. What's going on, Russ?
Thanks for having me on, man. It's full circle. I did a podcast with you. You were in your car during a hurricane. It seems like 3 years ago. It was probably 8 months ago. And
No, it was like 2 years ago. Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
It's been a while.
yeah, here we are. Now I'm on your podcast. I love it.
Right? Well, you kind of inspired me a little bit. You know, I like to see what you were doing out in the world of social media, and then you started the podcast, and then Yossi blew up, and it was like, man, you know, I think I have something I can contribute, so maybe I'll give it a shot, you know. And I've been able to be on his show a couple times, which is cool, and now I got you here, so welcome.
Yeah. No one thinks it's going to be them until it is. And the people who make it happen, none of us are the best looking. None of us are the smartest. We're just the most consistent is what I truly think.
Well, I need to maybe work on my consistency. You know,
Hey,
I got a little bit going on.
The first part is starting, and then
Exactly.
not many people actually start out the gate super consistent, but they make a decision to start and then they see some level of varying success. And then that usually gets you a little addicted. It's like you go golfing and you suck your first 3 times. And that 4th time you actually hit a good shot and you're like, oh, now I'm hooked for life.
Well, and you know, it's so funny. I just hired a salesperson, and I shit you not, as I'm hiring the guy, the sales manager who recommended him goes, "Hey, by the way, he watches your podcast." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, he was asking me, he was like, is the GM the guy with the podcast?" And he was like, "Yeah." So I was like, "Holy shit." Yeah. So I guess I reach a couple people.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, we could go down a whole rabbit hole about the things that can come from social, people watching you wouldn't even believe are watching and all that good stuff.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. One of my friends even was like, "Oh, I watch all your episodes." And I was like, "You watch my podcast?" He's like, "Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't missed one." And I'm like, "You don't know anything about automotive." He's like, "I do now."
And it's crazy because, like, I'm actually not a big podcast listener because I don't drive a whole lot, and I like to listen to music when I do drive, and, like, I have a friend, I didn't realize, like, he listens to, like, 20 hours a week of podcasts, so, like, same thing, like, he was not interested, but, like, he threw mine on just like, "Dude, I'm cutting grass all day, every day, I just throw a podcast on and figured I'd listen to yours," and I was like, "Same thing, like, you listen to my podcast,
Yeah,
bro? You cut
why not?
grass?"
So interesting. Yeah, I mean, I would have never thought. So it was a nice surprise. But anyway, we're here. So I'm going to start off by asking you about some of the moves you've been making, man. So obviously, you know, content creation with Freddie Media, and then going into RFW training, you know, teaching dealers on social media. And then I just recently saw that now you're the chief marketing officer of Moto Acquire. And so I'm like, you know, first of all, am I missing anything? That's only 3. I'm sure you got more.
There's quite a few things going on. I kinda give you some context. I was with Yossi at Car Dealership Guy, and things were going great, and John, their lead sales guy, kinda wanted to go a different direction, really put a lot of focus into my training company, and that just wasn't necessarily the vision that Yossi had, or at that time just wasn't really seeing it, so we all made a mutual agreement, like, "Hey, let's kinda split off here," and me and John started doing the Freddie Media, which is a handful of things, but really at that time was marketing and the training. And I was selling cars, and the training in the last 4 months has blown up where we actually just made it its own company. We're like, dude, this is its own thing. We're gonna have to staff around this, which we've done successfully. And so we have the RFW training, which is training car dealers, car salespeople, anybody that works within 4 walls of a car dealership that wants to learn to build a brand on social media. What you recently saw with Moto Acquire has been something I've been working on in the background, which is really interesting for about almost a year now, and then full-time seriously being, I am an equitable partner. Mike calls me co-founder. I don't know if I like to be considered co-founder. I didn't really create anything, but yeah, he brought me on as an equitable partner about 6 months ago, and the vision on his end was like, hey, this guy can promote. And I was like, I don't want to be cocky. I was like, dude, I'm a businessman. Like, I think I have what it takes, and I get obsessive. So, like, do I know anything about the trade-in tool world? Absolutely not. But
Other
I'm
than
hungry.
using it.
Yeah, like I use it at the dealership. I don't know anything about the tech or why somebody would sign up. Why would somebody cancel? Why would somebody want to use ours? But quickly, in a few months, he was like, oh, you're more than just like gonna advertise this, you're gonna be like a legit like CMO slash maybe even sales director. And that's where we kind of decided to go public with it. Before this call, that Facebook ad that you might have saw or my Instagram organic video, I mean, we've generated 34 legit leads in the last probably 72 hours, and I was just kind of hammering the phones. It was kind of funny feeling like a vendor, not cold calling a dealership, but a lot of these guys put the dealer number, and then I got to call the receptionist, like, and it's crazy, dude.
Probably because they don't know it's you calling.
Yeah,
Like they're
yeah,
not expecting Russ to call, and then they're like, "Hey, I have Russell Richardson on the phone." They're like, "Oh shit, I guess I'll take it."
it's funny though how dealers can be so different. One, I said, "Hey, is Mister So and So available?" Yes, he is. Let me transfer you over. He picks up the phone. He owns the place. He's the owner. I called another dealer, the owner, same thing. They go, "Oh, we're not allowed to transfer calls to him. Why are you calling?" And I'll go see if he's available. And I'm instantly like, I don't even like this guy.
You know what? It's totally off topic, but like that's actually something that has always kind of grinded my gears running a dealership is, like for instance, when I came to Cape Coral last year, the MO was always like, oh, if somebody calls for the general manager, we don't we always screen the calls and he's in a meeting or what. And I'm like, don't do that. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like you didn't go check to see if I was in a meeting. They know you're full of shit. You know what I mean? Like, don't just tell them I'm in a meeting. No, like send the call over and if I can get to it, I will. If I can, we'll go to my voicemail. I'll get back to him. Like I'm not avoiding anybody. And they're like, oh, we're just not, we were told never to do that. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's okay. So anyway, it's got to be an interesting experience calling into a dealership
Yeah.
as opposed to calling out from one for you.
And, yeah, exactly. And, just to kind of recap on all the crazy things we're doing on my end. So we have the trading company, we have the Freddie Media, which is, marketing. And for a lot of automotive vendors we work with, cars.com, Dealer Club, iPacket, I could go on and on and on. A Moto Acquire trade-in tool for your website, just convert the leads that come in better. We have crazy statistics. And I'm not here to promote anything I'm working on, but
Dude,
yeah.
no, promote, shamelessly plug. That's what you're here for.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, we're a trade-in tool for your dealer's website. The founder, Mike Crothers, is awesome. He worked at Roadster, if you're familiar with them, for a long time. He's one of their top salespeople in hierology. So not only does he understand scaling, which is important, he understands good technology and what it takes to make it convert. It's like, does our trade-in tool, like, on paper, we do more, but how it's actually done on the website and how it's built mobile friendly, I never talk bad on competition, but it's like, you name a trade-in tool, I can tell you what year it was built, and none of them were built post 2020, where it's like they weren't even
Fair
thinking
point.
about mobile. And now I'm sure you know your numbers or are familiar with it. Probably 60, 70, 80% of your website traffic is mobile. So what does the mobile experience look like? How many people are dropping off? So MotoAcquire has been a smash hit over the last 6 months with the numbers. And then a new endeavor that's really coming to life is really interesting. And it was a problem at my dealership, and I never realized it was a problem. It's called Car Commish. In a nutshell, we just automate everybody's payroll. People, general manager, service advisors, parts guy, anybody that's paid on commission or hourly or any type of these weird pay plans. We have a dealer group we just onboarded, 30 salespeople. I'm not kidding you. 30 different pay plans. They have every sales guy on a different pay plan.
That's interesting.
And their office, would take them a week and a half to figure it out. Well, we
Don't
do it
name the
in
name the dealership because I don't think
nah,
the sales guys
nah.
know that.
Yeah, right.
They sound like flat. They
Every,
sound like flat rate techs. Everybody's
yeah,
got a different hourly rate.
yeah. But this dealer group said it would take them like almost half the month just to figure out payroll.
That's
And
crazy.
they actually didn't believe that our solution literally just automated it. Like, when I'm talking, like, it just happens. Like, you flick a switch and it just happens. Stuff comes in the DMS, we figure it out.
And that's
And
not Moto Acquire. That's a different company.
yeah, that's not MotoAcquire. It's called Car Commish.
Car Commish.
Car Commish. So that's something similar story. The founder was like, "Hey, if I brought you on, gave you a little equity, would you like promote it?" Because I get asked a lot to promote things for money, and I did that for like 2 years. And I'm like, dude, like, I've helped some companies. I don't think I could even say who and how I did it, or the results. At least I could say the companies I've worked with. But some of the companies I've worked with that have paid me a decent chunk of change to make a video have gotten like crazy results. And I'm like, I don't know if I'd rather take the equity than the cash up front for some of these companies. Of course, some of these big companies are not going to cut me in, but some of these like smaller guys, especially that might not have the budget. But if I agree with the vision, And when he laid it out for me, what he did, I said, dude, this is crazy. I never even thought about it. But the controller at my dealership would give me a literal handwritten commission sheet,
Wow.
and ask me to verify it and like ask me if it was right, and I'm like, and I didn't think it was a big deal. I'm at a small family owned store, we have 7, 8, at the most 12 salespeople. It's like, but if we had 6 stores, 7 stores, and I start calling around to a couple dealers, and none of them were quite handwritten, but like most of them were Excel spreadsheets or, not like they would take them like the best process I found. It took them like 2 days maybe to like get it dialed in. And I'm like, well,
Interesting.
what would it be like if it was just like literally like they didn't spend time on it. It just happened. Like everybody's payroll. I'm talking your mechanics, your service advisors, like you give us every pay plan. And they're like, oh, I'd pay for that. So I partnered with this guy Mo at Car Commish, and we've been every deal we actually have like 100% close rate of every dealer we've sat with, which is pretty
Wow.
cool. It's still early times, and I think we only have right now 14 paying clients. So that's really exciting too to be working at the forefront of that.
Well, you're making moves, man. You're making moves. That's awesome. And you know what? Listen, the equity route, dude, that is one that has made a lot of people really wealthy. If you hitch your wagon onto the right horse, you'll make it far. So, dude, that's a great plan and super interesting what you got going on. And that kind of brings me into my next question, I guess, which is, you know, your transition out of retail, right? Because everything you just talked about is so different from what you were doing and what you've done really your whole career for almost all of it. So I've always admired the way that you built this strong personal brand while still inside automotive retail, and then you just walked away from it. So talk about that. Yeah, talk about that transition, man. Like, what did it really look like for you as you shifted from being a retail salesperson who was actually selling cars every day, not just making TikToks, to running your own business or businesses, if you will?
Yeah, so it's like it's so tough to make the decision because at the time I'm the top salesperson at Beyond Lincoln. I built this huge personal brand. It's RussFlipsWhips, but everybody knows it's Russ at Lincoln for the most part. Russ, the Lincoln salesperson, and I'm making really good money. I wouldn't say uh, for my goals and ambitions as I was starting to as I hit 20, like at
Yeah,
age 20, I remember I made 100 grand. I'm like, this is
yeah.
life changing money. Then
Well,
you
yeah,
find
I
out
was just gonna
100
say
grand
well
isn't a
over
lot of
six
money.
figures. Yeah.
Yeah, then you find out 100 grand isn't a lot of money. Then you start to make more and more and more and more. But I remember it was early that year, and I was getting so many leads for the training company. And I remember telling John at Freddie Media, I'm like, "Hey, I can't do that week. I'm running out of time off." Or, "Hey, I'm behind on sales. I'm running out of time off." And he would just be like, "Bro, like I get what you're trying to do, but these people are going to pay you more than you could even make in 2 weeks selling cars for a weekend." But I just felt so dedicated to my craft because I'm an obsessive and loyal person. It's my best trait, my worst trait is my loyalty. The only job I ever had was beyond Lincoln.
And to be fair, that craft is what got you the notoriety, right? So it's
Yeah,
like walking away from the very substance that gave you this notoriety has got to be like a very difficult thing to do.
exactly. And I'll never forget a dealer group in Australia, Peter Kittle asked us to come out and train. And I was like, it just hit me. I'm like, okay, if a dealer group in Australia is going to pay me a, a nice chunk of money to come out and train, I'm sure this is a business model, and there's plenty of business just here in America, let alone across the world. I need to go all in, or no one's going to take me super seriously. So I made the decision, and I knew when I did it, and this is to anyone listening, when you build a brand on one thing and then go something different, luckily for me, it's similar. But a lot of people followed me for car buying advice and car sales videos and funny videos and satirical videos. And I don't do a lot anymore. And I knew the views, I knew the rocket ship of following that I was gaining would come to I won't say a halt, but it's stagnated, and I knew that. This isn't like a surprise to me. I knew that would happen, but I was like, what's at the end of the tunnel? Well, one, building a real business. And, this is not to talk down on anybody that sells cars or works inside a car dealership, but it's like, I want to own something. I'm sitting in at Beyond Lincoln on meetings, marketing meetings, new technology meetings. What does forecasting look like? And I'm like, I'm building like, and I don't think they'd ever do this, but just for the scenario, and I love everyone at Beyond Lincoln, but like if somebody walked in there and offered them a huge check in 3 years because of what we built, they would just be like, man, good job, Russ. Thanks, man. I was like, "I wouldn't get any of that." I'm not a part I'm not an owner. And that was kinda a big decision. It was like, I wanna own something, and I wanna bet on myself because I felt like I could always go back to selling cars if I wanted to. But this opportunity, this capturing lightning in a bottle was like, I gotta strike while the iron's hot and just make and it was a really scary, tough decision, like, I thought long and hard about it.
Well, and the thing that for me is like on our episode of your podcast, you had mentioned to me that, and the whole reason I was there was talking about moving up to management in
Yes,
automotive and moving forward
yes.
with your career. And if you had stayed in the retail business, there's no doubt in my mind you would have had ownership opportunities and an opportunity to be a business owner on that side of the business. It seemed to me like you just didn't have any interest in that from maybe the beginning, right? Like you kind of seemed like you always had this other path that you maybe was it like something that was planned or was it something that you just kind of fell into? Like, tell me a little bit about that. I'm just super curious.
Yeah, so I think where I am, maybe this is a greedy goal, maybe it's an ambitious goal. I wanna just go from salesperson to owner.
You kind of said that to me too. I don't remember if it was off the record or on the record, but you were kind of like, yeah, I don't really want to move up because I'd rather just buy one. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that must be cool.
And I only say this because, like, Russ, you never ran a dealership, all this stuff. And I'm not here to claim, like, "Oh, I could just walk in, own a place, run it." I would never be dumb enough to ever say that or even attempt doing that, but I think I have 2 skill sets. One is at Beyond Lincoln, when our general manager quit, I kinda had to step into a role with Mr. Biondi, and I'm not gonna say be a shadow GM. He ran the store, but I was called and brought into a lot of meetings, asked for my opinion on a lot of things, asked to do a lot of, "Hey, Russ, can you go TO deals? Hey, Russ, can you send a deal to the bank? Hey, Russ, what do you think about this? Hey, we're thinking about," and I just was brought in like from like literal salesperson to like the mix of things, sitting in with the owners. And I learned a lot very quick at a small operation, how things work. I start learning about the warranties and why there's like shit like the money in the warranties, like where that really, I learned about how we're like all these things that a normal salesperson just wouldn't have learned about. And I learned it all. And I'm obsessive. So at that time, I'm obsessive about this. Like, I'm gunning to become a part owner at Beyondy, which is something I did attempt and it fell through. Like, I want to try, I want to be part owner. That didn't happen. But if you were to ask me my grand plan, what could I do? I love retail automotive. I actually got chills the other day. I was at my buddy is a general manager at a Ford store, and I was there just shooting the crap with him. And he was like, "Bro, I got a meeting in 5 minutes. Can you go appraise this trade?" And I thought he was kidding. And he was like, he actually asked me to go do it. And I knew how to appraise trades because that's what I had to do it beyond it. When our general manager quit, he did everything. So I had to appraise my own trades. So I go out, I appraise it. And dude, this is just those weird, Spider-Man tenses. Car's cleaned out, nothing in the trunk. You open up the glove box.
No
There's an
gas in the
insurance.
tank.
Yeah, there's an insurance card, a registration card, and a title all clipped together. And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna be Superman right here. And I know a lot of used car managers unfortunately don't look at that stuff, but that was like
Yeah.
drilled in my head. So I do my appraisal. I put a number on it. I kind of gave him a range because I don't want to be responsible at the end of the day for this, car. I don't work there. I'll never forget the sales guy comes in and he's like, "Yeah, they're leaving. They're not buying a car today." And I almost lost my mind on the guy, but I don't work there. Like it wasn't, I was like, whatever. But I'm like, man, this is cool. I really like actually selling cars. Like, imagine if I had a group of trained killers that I taught how to do that. Because if that guy walked the trade like he was supposed to and then just throw the keys at the manager, he would have known that nobody rolls around with a cleaned out car with an insurance card, registration card, and a title clipped together in the glove
Yep.
box. And that's 30 seconds of work, maybe 3 minutes of work to be
Yeah.
realistic to know you have a buyer, like a stone cold buyer, even if you did a half crap walk around on the trade.
It's so interesting. So, so you aren't ruling out retail. Is that
If
what I
I
heard?
could if I could actually map out my next 5 to 10 years, and these I'm blessed because I've met some really good people in my training, owners, dealer principals, and I've told them I am very open about telling people what I wanna do because I think if you just say it, then people know it. Like, you might have a guy on your sales team right now
Absolutely.
that wants to be a desk manager, but he's definitely afraid to ask or tell you that's what he wants, and then in 20 years, he'll be like, "They never asked me to be a desk manager." It's like, "Bro, you never told anyone you wanted to do that."
Dude,
But
it's
my
so funny. The first TikTok that I made after I was like, I'm gonna start making content and stuff. The first one that I made that had like any real views, 8,000 views, was about that. It was literally that subject where I was like, hey, if you want to get promoted, you're not just going to get promoted by just like thinking you want it to happen. You have to like actually work for it, and then you have to make it known that you want it. And I got like 20,000 views, which to you obviously is nothing, but like to me, I was like,
That's
holy
a
shit.
lot. That's good.
I was like, cool. And kind of took off. And I was like, all right, that's a subject people want to hear about. Yeah, no, you're leading right into my question, which is so funny. Sorry to interrupt you. But my actual question, my next question was, what is your long term vision and where do you see yourself in automotive as the future moves forward?
Yeah, I would love to be a part of, these tech companies and my training company, transform that into hopefully generational wealth. I just don't think I would have ever amassed the wealth I wanted in the time frame that I wanted. There's serious money to be made in automotive, but in the amount of money that I want, in the time frame I wanted, I think I'm on the right route. Amass that money in 3.5, 4.5, 5, maybe it's 10 years through exits and just earned income and parlay that money into really, I don't think I'd want to just start my own owner group. I'd like to buy into an existing 3 to 5 group store, 7 to 10, or be a very small owner in a really big group. But I don't even think I'd want to do that because I'd like to have a big say in things. Because I think what makes, and you have this, you certainly have this, a motor that I have in me that I will have for the rest of my life. My dad has it. My grandpa has it. It's just something in my family. We have these motors that we can just go and go. My mom has it. I just think we could run circles around some of these lazy dealer owner operators who are complacent. It's just never enough for me, bro. It just never will be. I've come to that conclusion. I think if I was actually making legitimate real deal decisions and was the heartbeat of a group, it would scale very fast.
You're probably right. And you're also probably right that you'd be frustrated probably being a minority owner.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I will say. Like, it's not frustrating being a partner in the sense of like, it's fantastic. Like, I love being a partner. I love having ownership in the dealership. I love being able to, make decisions and lead people. But it is slightly frustrating sometimes that there can be a decision you want to make and you can't, or, a vendor you want to go with that you're, put down on that, or told no, and you're like, like I just wish I was on my own, but
Mhm.
the benefit to it is you have to think about what that other person brings to the table as well. And I'm the one who's boots on the ground every day, making decisions and helping with the people. But at the end of the day, what my partner brings to the table is so much more than I think anybody else can. And so if you ever do get into a situation where you want to partner with somebody, just make sure that they bring something to the table that you can't.
Yeah,
It's like,
certainly.
yeah, you kind of nailed it with your partnership right now. Where like this guy's about the tech and he's about scale, and you're like, I know how to market it and I know how to use these tools because I did it every day. You know what I mean? Where you
Yeah.
both bring these two different visions and these two different talent sets. So yeah, I mean that's a really cool vision you have for yourself, just building it up, getting to where you want to be maybe in life and with your family, and then saying, hey, you know what? Now I can just do whatever I want. But let me throw this
Yeah.
out there into the universe and see if somebody, bites the hook.
Yeah. Yeah, I've said it to a couple dealer owners, and they're like, "You let me know when you're ready, buddy." So that's been cool. I think for me, and this is just because I grew up, I wouldn't say, like, really poor, like, I never went hungry, but we grew up like, our house was foreclosed on, and we don't that's a whole different story, but I grew up, raised by grandma, third-story apartment with 6 people, 2-bedroom. So I
Didn't
know
you
it's
buy
like
your
to be
grandma a
poor.
house?
Yeah, yeah, I did.
I saw that. That was so
Yeah.
cool, man.
That was yeah, that was really awesome to be able to do that. That's a whole 'nother story on why I did that, but super blessed to have been able to buy my grandma home. She raised me, wanted to take care of her. She was living in a trailer. She hated it. She couldn't live in her house in, town of Trafford where she lived. We call her the queen of Trafford. She was the prom queen. She knew everybody, and her house just had, like, what seemed like a never-ending flight of stairs to the front door, and she just couldn't live there. It just wasn't working. So she had to move. At the time, I didn't even have any money, so she had to move and get what she could afford, which was go rent a trailer, a nice trailer, not a crappy trailer, a nice trailer. She anytime you saw her, she would just be like, "I wanna move back to Trafford. I hate it here. I wanna move to." And then I found out it's a two-story, but everything's on the first story house. It was just and I bought it for her. That was pretty cool telling her. It was, I,
No, that
it
was that was super cool watching it, to be honest with you. When I saw that video, I was like, "Man, what an awesome story." Like, what an amazing thing to be able to do for somebody that means so much to you in your life, to put yourself in that position to be able to help them that way. It's pretty impactful.
and, it's funny because, like, my family really didn't know I had money. I knew I sold a lot of cars, But I don't have anything fancy. Like probably the fanciest thing in my life is on my head right now, and it's these $500 Apple Pro pods, or whatever they're called. And I bought them because I spent so much time on the airplane. Ears are like hurting. I was like, maybe if I get these I don't know. But then they were like, then it was like, I remember my mom was like, well, how much is the mortgage? Are you gonna be able? Is she gonna pay you for the mortgage? Is she gonna? I said, no, no, no. She's not gonna. She's not gonna pay me anything. Well, who's gonna pay the mortgage? I go, there is no mortgage.
There's
She's
no
like, what?
mortgage. You gotta love that. And they're like, they start asking questions. All of a sudden, they're broke. Yeah. Been down that road before.
My pap still thinks I just make TikTok money. That's like, he thinks like it's all from TikTok. I'm like, no, pap, I have a real company. Like the money doesn't just come from TikTok.
What was it?
Just,
Hang on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that it's hard to explain to people like what's going on in my life. Sometimes I just tell my family I'm good, everything's good. I'm smart with money. We grew up so poor that I'm like, I'm not afraid to go broke, but I know how to not go broke because I watched it happen
Yeah.
in front of my eyes.
Well, and so like on the family thing, my next question was I saw this episode of MSNBC that you were on. Is that correct?
It was CNN, but yeah.
CNN. Sorry, CNN. And I see you on CNN and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So like when they saw you on CNN and just like the rest of the country, like first of all, tell me how that happened and what was that experience like? It's like I got to know everything about that.
So I'm not the textbook smartest guy, but I'm certainly street smart. And my phone rings from CNN. And well, I don't know it's from CNN. I answer it. They're like, "Hey, is this Russ?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Hey, this is so and so from CNN. We're doing I don't think they said casting call, but we're doing like a casting call for the Laura I don't even remember what her name was. The Laura Boebert, whatever the lady's name was, for her late night show."
Whatever show I was on.
Yeah, literally. She's like, would you mind answering some questions to see if you'd be a good fit? It's related around automotive tariffs. And you know what? Maybe this comes back to bite me in the butt. This is the truth, though. I'm like, dude, I know CNN. They want me to give some liberal answers. I'm a conservative, but I'm going to lie right now, give them the answers they want to hear so I can get on this show. So I'm like, oh, this is terrible. The tariffs are just crazy. Trump's lost his mind. It's going to crush the industry. Prices are going to go up. It's going to be horrible. Oh my God. I just give them like that whole picture. They're like, okay, we'll let you know. Like they were like very like, I was like, maybe they wanted like a different opinion. I don't know. Like I'm very unpolitical in my social media. So like, I don't know what, but I was like, I think that's what they want. They call me back at like 9. They're like, hey, can you do it at 11? I'm like, sure. Dude, I thought it was so funny where she's like, all right, good night, America. We have 3 experts. We have, so and so, and who is the owner of the world's largest construction company. This guy, the president of the Farmers Association, and Russ, a car salesman from Pittsburgh. And I'm like, yo, how did I get on here? And I don't know if you remember watching it, but like that lady was pushing back on me, and I was like, look, I think, I just kind of said what I thought. I think the tariffs are good. I think the average American agrees that we send out too much money, don't bring enough money in. I do think prices will go up in the short term, but in the long term, this will be extremely beneficial for America. And she was like, but what about the anxiety? I mean, you as car salesmen, all the consumers got to be so worried. And I was like, look, sales are great. I know some dealerships last month and this month that are setting to have record months. And April was a great month for a lot of car dealerships, and so was May. I'm like, so maybe this is pulling ahead some spending. I'm not quite sure, but as of right now, things are looking really optimistic. And they were like, "Who put this kid on here?"
Well, it's so funny, like, because I actually remember thinking the exact same thing you just said as far as like when you led into it, where you're like, this guy, and I was like, shit. Like I kind of thought the same thing. I was like, is this AI? It's like, what the fuck is going on? But
Dude,
then like
so many people thought it was AI.
You sounded great, but like I was just so confused as to like how they had like lasered in on you. No offense.
Yeah, you think they'd ask like no. You think they'd ask like Brian Benstock or Yossi or Brett Sutherland or you or somebody that's like owns multiple. They're like, nah, let's get Russ.
Maybe the president of NADA. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Somebody like that. Yeah, they were like, oh, let's go with RussFlipsWhips here. That was, but what a great opportunity for you. Like that was amazing. Did you see any lift as far as like your viewership or your following or anything like that from that, or not really?
So I mean, look, nobody watches CNN. I'm just
Everybody knows it's fake news. It's absolutely fake. It's garbage. It's garbage news. Nobody likes it.
But what it did do was put me on the radar of some executives that might have, in the automotive space, that might have heard my name and thought I was like a goofball knucklehead. And they saw this side of me that I'm actually, I wouldn't say I'm extremely composed, but I can be composed and be, like an intelligent,
You
I'm
can be a
not just this
serious
20,
person.
yeah, not this 20 at the time, 26-year-old run around making TikToks. Like everything I do is calculated.
Dude, that was a really interesting thing for me to come across on TikTok. I was like, I really can't believe that happened. Let's go back for a second. So your RussFlipsWhips brand, it's blown up, right? In all of automotive and all across the industry, from retail to the vendors to whoever. And it's gotten everywhere, but it all started with you just like working on a car lot, right? So how did you get started with content creation specifically? And what inspired you in the early days?
Yeah, no, I love this question. So, cliff notes on me, detailer at a dealership, was gonna wash cars in high school. Okay, I was washing cars in high school, and the principal, my junior year, called all of juniors into a auditorium and was like, "Hey, a new initiative for 2017 for all you seniors. You're gonna be able to leave school after fourth period. You just have to get a job, and like it has to be real." Or you can go take college credits. He's like, I'm real big on like, you guys don't need to be here all day. You're grown. You're gonna be adults. Like, if you want to come do math, reading, science, and art or whatever, or English, and then leave, I'm good with it. I'm like, boom, this is my ticket. I go to the general manager at Beyond Lincoln. I'm like, yo, can I get some extra hours washing cars? Can I start at like 11:30 instead of 3:30? And he was like, are you dropping out? I was like, nah, they're letting
I
us
got
do this
early work
thing. Yeah,
release.
I got work release. And he was like, and thank God he knew my family. And he was like, dude, I think your parents would kill me if you were to leave school and come wash cars. But why don't you answer phones? We actually we have an empty seat in the BDC department. It'd be perfect.
Interesting.
I'm like, cool, I don't care, whatever it takes. So they quickly, after I do decent in BDC, because my whole family's just talkers. My mom's a talker, my dad's a storyteller. Yeah, half the things you don't even know if my dad's saying are true or not, but he's a good storyteller. He'll make you believe it. So I kind of have this little bit of a knack for talking, and I'm doing okay. Like I have no clue what I'm doing. I know nothing about Lincolns. I know nothing about used cars, but I'm getting people in. I'm like, yeah, just come in, man. We'll have one of our top-notch guys, one of our Lincoln certified guys, go over everything with you. Does that make
You can
sense?
hear me talk
So
about it, but really you just want to feel it, don't you?
yeah. So I do okay, and I feel like every BDC agent that's ever gone into sales, they were just really busy one day and needed a salesperson, so they just grabbed me. I did okay. I sold the car. I wouldn't say it had to do anything to do with me. It was just kind of one of those like chimp closes. A chimp could have closed it. But the GM was like, "Hey, did you like that?" I was like, "Yeah, it was cool." He's like, "Hey, well, one of these guys is quitting. Do you want to like just take his office, sell cars?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm in high school. I can't sell cars." He's like, "Yeah, you can. You just have to be 18." So boom, now I'm selling cars. Okay, so let's get to the point. Where did the content start? So I'm selling used cars at Beyond Lincoln. They had a very successful used car operation where they'd buy them from Enterprise, do a no haggle, legitimate no haggle, really good price. In 2017, this was big. Not a lot of dealers did that. Very few were buying them from Enterprise, marking them up $100, $200, and selling them dirt cheap. So we're turning these Enterprise cars like crazy, making money in the back. It's really good. And at the time, I didn't know any of this. I didn't know that's how it worked. I just knew we bought cars from Enterprise and we sold them. We didn't negotiate. As an 18-year-old salesperson, that's all I knew. Now that I'm older,
You
I'm
didn't
like, oh,
understand the why. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't know the model. But then a lot of dealers started doing that. They're like, man, this Beyond Lincoln is buying 150 used cars a month from Enterprise. What if we start? So now, okay, now that's like such a tired game. Buy them from Enterprise, stack them deep, sell them cheap, make money in the back end. You might even buy them knowing you're going to lose $100, $500. Some dudes buy them knowing they're going to lose $1,000 in the front, make it on the back. Beyond Lincoln, old school Italian guys, they are not going to buy something knowing they're going to lose on the front, maybe make it on the back. It's just not how they operate. So they were good with the slim margins. They were not good with the negative margins. So they just basically just stopped. They're like, yep, we're not going to do that. This game is dried up. We got to learn how to sell new Lincolns. I'm like, yo, I'm selling like 9 used cars a month right now. I don't even sell Lincolns. Like, I'm not even Lincoln certified. Like, this is how you going to tell me?
I love the statement too. We got to learn how to sell new Lincolns. Like what? What do you mean? You're a new Lincoln dealer. Anyway,
Okay, maybe that's inappropriate for me to say. We got
no,
to learn how to
it's
live
really
off
not. It's
new
not.
and
It's
new
not.
and see.
There's a
We
lot
got
of
to learn
guys
how
out
to.
there like that.
Yeah. So we do it, and it's like not working for me. We have a little bit of leftover enterprise inventory. I'm doing some CPOs, and I'm like doing like 1 to 2 Lincoln sales. And Lincoln was a bad brand at that time. MKX, MKC, MKT. Most people don't even know what the MKT is.
Never heard of it.
Exactly, dude. Great car actually, but we're not here to talk about that. The Navigator sales are pretty poor.
We had to kill it. It
And
was
then
built in China. Built in China. We had to kill it.
so what inspired me to actually start making content would have been like at some point in 2019, we got the new Aviator. And I was like, yo, this car's actually cool. Like finally, like a nice car, a cool car. And I was like, yeah, but what am I gonna do with this video? Like I'm not even like I'm just gonna make a video. And then I was like, it clicked. I'm like, what if I got people to see that video and come buy a car off me? Because the only way I knew how to grow a following at the dealership was what a mentor of mine told me, Tom Deary, great guy who sold 25 cars a month at the Lincoln store. And he said, when I asked him how I can sell more new Lincolns, he's like, well, Russ, if you just work here long enough, they'll just eventually come back and ask for you.
All right.
I mean, that's one way of doing it, I
Not
guess. And
untrue, I
unfortunately,
guess.
yeah. But it all clicked when I was like, dude, I can make videos. I can build a brand. And at the time, the only videos I knew how to make was like, hey, we have this car. Hey, let me review. Like it was like car reviews. I did the car reviews for about a year. It dried up very fast. This is like one of the best things ever was working at Lincoln. I just ran out of things to talk about. Okay, if I was at BMW or Mercedes, dude, you got 20 lines. Each line has 6 models, or I'm sorry, 6 different trims. And of those different trims, there's like special edition trims. I mean, I've been to a Mercedes store, one of the biggest in the world. I was like, look, you guys could literally just talk about what's on the showroom, and you have your next 2 years planned out for you. I didn't have that. You know, we had at that time Corsair, Nautilus, Aviator, Navigator, and like a couple trims, and none of the trims were like even that different. No, the Black Label was like one of the worst rollouts ever. I think it still is not. No one cares about Black Label the way they do AMG or
So
anything
you had to
like
get
that.
creative.
So I'm like, I got to do something else to get people to like watch me. So it started with a little bit of car buying advice, started with a little bit of car sales advice, started with a little bit of day in the life, and then I made a video where it was like I took all of that and turned it into a skit. It was like when the customer knows more than you, and I pretended to be a customer. So it's like day in the life. Yes, I always have customers who know more than me. Car buying advice. It's kind of like, hey, the customer's prepared. Car sales advice. How do you handle this? And I turned it into like this like entertaining skit. Popped off like 10 million views. It was like a 30-second video, and I'm like, yo, this is it. Like everything I've been doing, then turn into like a funny, watchable video, and keep doing the other stuff. And that's where it like really exploded, really built a brand. One, really became RussFlipsWhips, started getting hundreds of thousands of followers.
So can you walk us through like a specific campaign that you did that actually like turned into measurable leads and sales? Something that you were like, you intended to do it. That's what it set out to do, and you did it.
Yeah, I'll give you two because one of them I didn't intend, but then I figured it out and then I kept doing it and it kept working. And I've given this model to students of mine that I've trained. One of my students sold 20 cars from one video at the direction of me just telling him what to do. But I
Wow.
made a video on how to get out of. Yeah, it was crazy. It was literally like 3 weeks ago. He's already sold 19 cars this month from social, or sorry, nine, not 19, 9 cars this month from social media. But to answer your question, two, I'll give you two examples. I give you a bunch of examples, but I'll give you two really good ones. I made a video, and you can look it up on your phone right now. I haven't tested this out in about a month and a half, but if you look up on Google how to get out of negative equity and look it up on videos or short videos, my video for almost a year and a half straight came up as the #1 ranked organic video on how to get out of negative equity. I sold 30 Lincoln Nautilus over like a 2-month span from that video. It was the 2023 Lincoln Nautilus. We had about 30 that were leftover loaners that had about $7,500 in rebates and had a really good lease incentive. So I made this video on how to get out of negative equity. Didn't even tell people like to come buy a car from me till the very end. So I was like, literally like how to get out of negative equity, go lease a car, bunch of rebates, good lease incentive, a little bit of money down, have good credit. Oh, by the way, I didn't even say buy a car for me. I was like, I'd look for a car like this. I point to a row of Nautilus. That's the Lincoln Nautilus. They have really good lease incentives on them right now. We could probably help you get out of negative equity. Boom. Millions of views. I think it did over 40 million across everything. Berserk. And I sold all those cars. I still get leads to this day from that one video. I could probably actually just look it up now on my end because I'm curious now how to get out of negative equity.
By the way, while you're doing that,
Yeah,
you just inspired me to make a negative equity video. It's gonna be how to get out of negative equity. I'm gonna go on to Sora. I'm gonna tell it to give me a video of a Grand Wagoneer just driving into a canal.
that's great. Yeah, so I'm still the number one ranking video on Google on how to get out of negative equity. I just looked it up right now, which is why I still get leads from that video, but not intentional. I'm kind of intentional. Like I didn't think it would have that outcome. And I sold 2 to 3 cars a month every month from that video. It was kind of at my own leisure of how many DMs I wanted to answer. Obviously, negative equity leads are tough, and when you don't have a management system that knows how to deal with them, it's tough. Long Lewis in Alabama, I have some students down there. One of them sold 64 cars last month. One of them sold
Whoa,
48 at a Ford store, and they're crushing it with social media. One of them did 44 deals from social media. About 30 of those were from his existing Facebook page that he had built on his own. But at my direction, he has been able to pump more units out of that with the videos. He was doing only pictures, so I'm not here to take credit for that. But on his TikTok, he was able to generate a bunch more with the video idea because they have a stud desk manager that can get people out of their record right now is 30 grand, $39,000 negative equity, no money down, payment went down. What you know about that?
dude.
I don't even know how
Well,
it's possible.
since this show is selfless, why don't you go out there and throw them a pitch, a little plug with their social media? Because I would love to go check out what they got going on, what they're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, yeah. Go check out Sean Seals Deals and Corey creates deals there. And what I've found, and I'm going to answer your question. I told you two answers. What I've found with social media, where it's like now I'm really kind of shifting my focus and my verbiage. Social media don't sell cars; it generates leads, and it's like, how do you handle those leads? Like these dudes, you can go on their social media. The one dude has a video. He generated 100 credit apps from one video. I'm not even kidding. 100 credit apps, which means he got 300 plus leads, turned it into 100 credit apps, and he turned it into over 20 sales. Another Corey
Wow,
has a video of him with a notepad of over 100 leads of people with negative equity that want to buy a car. But these dudes are studs. They know how to handle the leads. An 8 car a month guy wouldn't know what to do with that. So I've been actually trying to campaign towards high achievers. I'm like, yo, if you actually took this seriously, what is your only problem as a 25 car a month guy? I need more leads. I need better leads. I need more leads. I need more first party leads. I don't need these KBB ICO leads. I don't need these, my manager is, the leads from the Jersey raffle at the fair. I need like real people want to buy car leads, and I can get the 35, 40, 45. That's every guy's problem. And I'm like, now that I've helped these two studs, it clicked in my head. I was really good with social media because I was just a good salesperson. Now I got these leads, boom, sell them cars. Now these guys, and I have some other students as well, but these two are like the pinnacle of what it could be. But to answer your question, I did a campaign once. It was a true story. Mr. Biondi, when our general manager quit, going back to the general manager quit, and it kind of changed a lot of things. Mr. Biondi, I don't think had actually sat down on a computer and ordered cars ever. I'm sure, but when he was doing it, it was probably on paper or you called it in. So he
you
orders
fax in your order.
so he ordered our first batch of aviators, like as his he's now the GM, he's in charge, and he does it on his computer, and I love it because he'd have like his cheaters on like this. He'd walk back in his office and he'd be like, and he had a laptop. I think he got a new one since, but I'll never forget. Remember the laptop that had like the ball and like you could like roll your finger around on the ball? He loved that
Yeah.
thing. He loved using and like you like click it. So he's ordering aviators. They show up, 8 of them, rear wheel drive in Pittsburgh.
Oh no.
We're like,
I remember when
yo,
when you were doing the social media campaigns for those, and you're like, we don't know what to do with these. Who wants to buy them?
yeah. So we generated so many leads, and this was at Mr. Biondi's direction. He goes, Russ, do you think you could sell them all today if we put them up for invoice? And I was like, I could try. He's like, dude, these are going to be here. It's coming into wintertime. It's whatever, it might be fall. He's like, these are just going to be here forever. And we got all of them but one sold with social media, which was cool. One we put in loaner. I didn't follow the money on that. I'm sure it was a big loser. Tax write-off, of course. But, if you actually did the real math, it was a big loser. We just put a video out there like, hey, and a lot of people thought we were lying. I didn't know this, but I guess that was like a campaign car dealers would run back in the 90s. Like, hey, we accidentally ordered the wrong cars. We're doing crazy deals. And like people were like commenting like, yeah, our dealer used to always order the wrong cars. And I'm like, no, like I guess I could see how someone could make a campaign. We actually did just order the wrong cars. Like, trust me.
You're
We
like,
do
no,
not
these
want
are
rear-wheel
actually
drive
rear wheel drive cars. in the mountains of West Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's no real
we do not want
mixing
these.
that one up. Yeah, it is what it is. You know, it's funny. I was gonna go down the rabbit hole on your piece with those two guys and the success that you've had with them and that you've had. But you know what? I feel like that is kind of a great leader for your business to be like, hey, if you want more of that information, sign up for RussFlipsWhips. So most people probably don't know this. We are a paying customer of RFW training. We haven't had the in-store training yet, but we do have the subscription model where you upload content to all the time with your training, and that's been a big success for us. Where we've gotten into social media and getting involved with the community with some grassroots events. For instance, we just did an event here. We did a movie night randomly with a holiday movie. We did The Grinch Stole Christmas, and we have a big piece of empty grass lot on the property where we put up a drive-in movie theater screen and gave away
Yeah,
candy and popcorn and sodas, and all the kids came out. We had well over 100 people here with the families that showed up for this free movie night. And we did that campaign without spending a dollar, just going onto social media and promoting it to the community. So what you've been able to
that's
do
great.
for us, everybody's reasoning for doing social media, I think, can vary. We haven't been so much looking at generating leads so much as it is generating interest or gaining visibility within the community. That was our goal.
And I always say, as I get like more of a businessman, I used to think social media was just like sell cars. So that's all it did for me at Beyondi at the time. But now I've kind of narrowed down to 4 buckets: lead generation. It can do reputation management, follow up for current clients, and then hiring. It can do all of those 4, or you could hone in on one of those 4. And, if you're a store and you're like, hey, like we're pretty big. Like, I'm not going to say you never don't want more leads, but like we have this process. We want to do this process. We're not equipped to handle social media leads and DMs. But man, if we could use it for reputation management and promote some cool things, that's worth every penny. And
Yeah,
that sounds like you kind of went down that rabbit hole.
exactly. Yeah. My thought is, to your point, if my guys want to generate leads, they should do that on their own, right? The
Yeah.
store is kind of think of us as the tier one, if you will, of social media. We want to just get out into the community and get the name out there and be out among the people. But the tier two, tier three is the salespeople, right? Those are the people
Yeah.
that I want going out and putting themselves out into the world to generate their own leads and their own traffic, which is more powerful than anything because it's incremental business. That's business that the dealership didn't have to spend $1 to generate. That salesperson did it all on their own incrementally. That makes that person incredibly valuable to a dealer.
And those leads you will likely make more money on. Not always. I've had some people come in and, beat me up on social media, but that's just people in general. But you're now deplatforming these people. So when somebody sees you on social media and actually wants to buy a car from you, hey, I've been watching you for 4 months. I'm ready to buy a car. They didn't go to cars.com. They didn't go to Car Gurus. They didn't go to your competitor. They didn't go to Carvana. They just reached out to you first. And the reason a lot of salespeople just can't stick with it long enough is it's a long-term play. So you could your first month do really good on social media, get 50,000 views and 1,000 followers, 2,000 followers, whatever the numbers are, the metrics, who cares even, but nothing happens. And that's because maybe those 50,000 people and 2,000 followers just don't need a car right now. You're not going to take somebody who doesn't need a car. They're not going to go, oh my God, Russ made a video. I like this guy. I'm going to trade my car in now. But it's like now they're watching you. And then in 6 months when their car's totaled or it breaks down or they actually need one, and maybe the night of maybe they were looking at some cars and then they go to TikTok or Instagram and then they see you and they're like, oh, I've been following this cat for 5.5 months. Let me DM him. And dude, that's how so many of my leads would start the same way. Hey Russ, been following you for X amount of time. Saw your last video. I want to buy a car from you.
Long time listener, first time caller. Dude, but
That's
you're
good.
right. You're right. It goes back to salespeople taking this job and making it a career. Seeing this as a career opportunity and not just as a stepping stone to something else. It's the person that makes that commitment to this as their career and sees that long-term vision and makes that long-term play. That's the person who's really going to come out ahead. Like obviously, like you have, and look at the opportunities it's put in front of you.
Now, I want to ask you a question because this is something I struggle with. Like, okay, look, I'll say this as nicely as I can, but like everybody needs ditch diggers. You just need a guy who's just going to show up and do what you need him to do. But like, how do
Uh-huh.
you balance between in sales? Like, okay, I need a warm body, and versus I only want to hire A players. And it's like, I think about that as I think about owning a car dealership. Like I walk in and it's like they have 20 salespeople. 3 of them are studs. 5 of them are okay, and the rest are actually like, why are you even in sales? Like, I'm just confused why you show up here every day. Like, what do you like, how do you balance
So
that as a manager of running a pretty big operation?
it's funny. I think I used those exact words in your podcast episode where I said something along the lines of the world needs ditch diggers too. Not everybody can be a
Dude,
20
maybe
car
I stole
guy.
dude, I might have stole that from you. Maybe, I'm really good at
I
I take
swear to God.
sayings and I'm like, that's my saying now. Like,
No,
I steal sayings, that's my thing.
well, and it's true, right? The world does need ditch diggers too. There's not everybody's going to be a 20 car guy. Not everybody is going to be willing to put in the commitment or the effort that it takes to do what you did or to do what I did when I sold cars. And that takes
Yeah.
the leap. Number one, you have to say to yourself, this is my career. Thankfully, I had a mentor when I was 19, 20 years old, just like you, that said to me, "Hey, kid, is this your job? You want to just make some money? You'll be good at it. Don't worry about it. I won't pay any attention to you. You just do your thing. But if you think you are going to make this a career, I will show you and teach you everything that I know, and I will make you a monster. And you'll make a lot of money, and you will
Yeah.
do this for the rest of your life, and you'll do it at a high level." And I said, I'm going to commit to that. And when I did, when I made that jump and I made that commitment, that was when I saw the real growth in my career. Same thing as you. When I was 20 years old, made my first 100 grand and never looked back. And it was like, it
Yeah.
starts with making that commitment to yourself that it's going to be your career. And then you start looking at everything differently. You start looking at things like long-term plays, like calling back your customers from 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago and asking for referrals, right? Putting
Mhm.
yourself out on social media and following up with those potential customers. It's those moves that salespeople who are in between, they don't do. They just stand by the door and wait for the next customer. And that's not a career. That's an hourly person. You could do that at American Eagle. What's the difference? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, to answer your question, it's difficult to find out who is who until you really get them in the store, right? Because you can hire somebody based off of instinct or what you think that their talent might be, but then they have to commit themselves to light a fire from within because you can't do it for them. They might have the intangibles, but they need to motivate themselves to an extent. As a leader, it is your job to motivate people, but you can only do so much until you've exhausted every effort and the other person in this arrangement has to do their part. So
Yeah.
you kind of got to go through people to figure that out. What I've learned over the years, and it's something that I feel like every dealer struggles with, we still struggle with it, but we're making commitments and steps to changing it, is just training, man. Training.
Yeah.
Onboarding and training is like the worst thing in the automotive industry today in retail as far as the sales
So
department
bad.
goes and turnover. It's horrible, dude. It's the worst. Like, most places you just get hired and they go, there's your desk. And it's probably the keyboard's not even plugged in because nobody's been using it for the last 6 months. And there's trash in the desk from the salesman from 2 years ago. And the business cards that they left behind are still there. And you know what I mean? Like, then they get logins to systems that they don't know what they are. They don't know what they do. They don't know how to use them. And they won't figure that out until they've been there for 2 years. And they've only been there for 2 years because they barely had enough success to stick to it. You know what I mean? Like, so, that is not the way that the industry needs to be or should be. It's got to change. In my store, we're putting forth every effort to make that change. I've got, as many written processes and explanations and everything as possible that I can have to make onboarding easier. And then we've made a commitment to a company called RockEd. I don't know if you've seen RockEd before, but it's
Yeah. Yeah, they're
really
great.
cool training platform, yeah, with AI integration, and it's a really phenomenal thing, and from the dealer group level, we've been able to integrate our own training into Rocket as well, into their platform, and it's really game changing, and so far so good, so we'll see how that goes, but yeah, man, it's a lot of guessing, but, once you've made the guess on the leadership side, you have to give people the support or else you can't expect them to succeed. How do you expect them to succeed if you don't give them what they need?
So I'll tell you a little hack, and I don't know how you put this into your world, but I have felt this way about this for a long time. And dealers are always reluctant to like really bring in a salesperson on a big guarantee because like, well, you should just eat what you kill. And so just to give you an example, my business partner John and I were arguing about an employee I wanted to hire. Guy's a stud. He's making about 300 grand a year at his current job, and I know him. And he approached me about maybe doing something for my company. He's like, dude, and this is I'm not tooting my own horn. This is what he says. He's like, I see the trajectory you're on. He's like, dude, I know the VP of sales for like Grant Cardone or Andy Elliott or Jeremy Miner. I know that guy's probably making a million, 2 million a year. He's like, I think I could come in and do that. So we're talking to him, and he wants a 10 grand a month guarantee for a whole year. And my buddy John didn't like it. He goes, dude, you want a guy who's just going to come in and want, to earn what he can earn. And I said, I don't disagree, but hear me out.
This
A
guy's
guy
taking a
that has
60% pay
that
cut.
much, yeah, that. But my thought is a guy who has that much confidence is just going to start his own business. But a guy who needs a little security will work for you forever. So I was like, how do you like? I feel like I really want to hunt almost like an A minus player. An A plus guy is just going to start his own company. But an A minus is like really confident, really sure, but just like wants that like 10 grand a month salary or whatever it is. So he'll just feel like I'm not going to go do my own thing.
And maybe he can become the A plus guy, but for us, right? And
Yeah.
you're right. That sounds to me like a guy that I would want to hire. I mean, if you could prove to me you're making 300 grand a year doing what you're doing, you're willing to walk away for 10 grand a month just to know that you have enough to pay your bills, but you're going to kill it and make X. Okay, you're betting on yourself. I mean, this guy's betting on himself ultimately. That's what that tells me.
Yeah. No, it's we're gonna ink the deal tomorrow. It's more than just 10 grand a month. It's like a 2-year plan, 3 year. He's very, very thorough, which I love. And I'm really excited. It's like, how do I in my mind, it's like I need this guy so I can clone myself. And I feel like he's that guy. Like I do all these crazy things. I can hop on with a GM of a 20 store group, present in front of 10 executives. Boom, I can bounce over, go talk to an individual salesperson, close them on the train, and I can do all this, but it's like what I'm doing is like not hard, but not everyone could do it. I need like that
Yeah.
special individual who I can just be like, all right, you do that now. I'm gonna go do other things.
Me and my former right hand, who's now a GM and a partner in his own store, which actually happens to be my old store, him and I used to refer to that as tick tock, like a clock. Him and I are in sync, like both hands of the clock. Like, one hand moves, the other one knows where it's going and moves right along with it. We were just always in sync like that, tick tock like a clock.
It's funny because like I try not to micromanage, but I still will read like messages in the CRM and like I won't ever get involved when I shouldn't. But one guy like asked like, hey, do you think Russ could like offer a discount? I'm military, this, that, the other. And I was like, I wonder what this guy's going to do. Is he going to, I told him, like, I need you to start making decisions. Don't ask me things, just do. I'd rather you ask for forgiveness than permission. Because if you, it'll turn into 20,000 questions a day. And he
Story of my
messaged,
career.
let me talk to Russ. He says, let me talk to Russ, see what Russ would do. And I go, here it comes. He never messages me. And then I see him message back, hey, talk to Russ. He's good with the military discount. Let's do it. And I'm like, that's why I hired you. That's the shit I need you to do. Just do it.
That's right.
Don't ask me. I would have done that. I'm glad you did it. And I wouldn't even be mad if I wouldn't have done it. I would just tell you I wouldn't have done that. Don't do that again.
Yeah, no, and the best part is the guy's closing himself, right? It was his idea to accept the discount.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like you probably would have done the discount anyway, but now that he's military, it's like, oh, we respect military. Yes, done deal. So
Yeah.
gotta love it. Last two
Yeah, that's
questions,
great.
man, because we're running out of time, and you know what? It's been such a good conversation. We might have to do it again because I probably didn't
I'll
ask
do it.
half the
I'll do it
questions.
again.
So second to last question is, you've had the blessing of getting to work with your brother, right? Both in the store,
Mm,
and now I believe he's working with you again. Is that correct?
yes.
So, me too. By the way, my brother and I, we worked together for 8 years in the dealership. He got promoted kind of one step behind me every step of the way, even though he's my older brother. And, up until I left, and he's still back at the original same dealership, his Beyondie, if you will, Gunther. He's still there
Yeah.
and making his way up the ranks, and I'm over here now. And so, what kind of a blessing has it been like for you two to be able to work together for so long and continue to get to work together? And what does that mean to you guys? Do you see you guys splitting apart at any point, going in separate ways, or you think you're stuck together working in whatever you're doing? Like, tell me a little bit about the relationship and what that means to you.
It's been a blessing and a curse. And I say that, it's like you work with your brother, you love it. There's things you can do. Briefly said, he's not stuck with me forever. I think we're building something special and he's bought in. And he, there's been months where I paid him a lot of money. But then there's months like there's months we don't do a lot of stuff. And it's like it's building month or it's building, these next 2 months are like building. So we do have some good money coming in, but it's not like what it was in the summer and in the late fall. And, we've had some really, really big months and he knows these won't be huge months. So I helped him build his own business that I'm not a part of. He owns, it's his business. He does some filming and editing. I've teed him up some deals. And he's scaling that to, I think his best month, 25 grand, his own money, which is really cool to be like, you did that. That's cool. Like, that's your money. It's not my money. It's like, it's not coming. You're not drinking from your brother's tea. It's like, it's your money. So be able to put the work ethic in him, be able to go get his own money has been cool. On a side note, nobody knows this. My older brother sells cars actually too.
Hold on. Exclusive breaking news. You heard it here first. I got the scoop. There's another Richardson in the car business. Older brother selling cars. Is he at Biondi? What's he doing?
He's at a Cadillac store in not too far from my house. He was working 65 hours a week at NTB, making 65 grand a year. And I was like, yo, dude, like I work like 50, 55, sometimes 60 around the crazy weeks. And I made 100 grand last year. So
What do you want to do?
he was like, and he literally like went and interviewed at a dealership like the next week, and then he's been there ever since. He's their number one or two guy every month. Complete opposite of me. Not in terms like he has a motor, but he's just like so laid back. Like he's
It's
literally the
so
salesperson who will like sit back in his. He'll like hit his vape in front of you, like he's just like so nonchalant. Like I don't know, but he sells cars, bro. He's pretty good at it.
It's so funny that you say that because my brother and I are, it's almost the exact same story with my older brother. He was a collegiate athlete, and when he got out of playing sports, he was waiting tables, and I was, 20 years old making 100 grand selling cars, and I was like, "Hey, man, like, not for nothing, this is pretty great. You might want to give it a shot." And I was like, I don't know if it's going to be great at this because he's pretty laid back. I'm pretty like go 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 intense, like got to get it. But my brother is so different from me in the way that he works smart, not hard. He's highly intelligent
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and he can turn it on. He's kind of an introvert, but he's not when he wants to be an extrovert, he is. Like he was like your grandma. He was, prom king and, star quarterback and you know what I mean?
yeah.
So like he can do it when he wants to. And he turned out to be really great at it. And it's so funny how the car business is addicting to family, right? Like one of us succeeds and then we
So
all want to get on.
you might sympathize with this if your brother's similar. My brother is just chill. So like we're at dinner the other day for my mom's birthday or my grandma's birthday, and I was like, "What have you been up to?" He's like, "I've been on vacation." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, just a staycation. I took a week off. I needed some time off." I'm like, "How many cars you got out for the month?" And this was at the beginning of the month, so let's say it was like the 17th. He's like, "None." I'm like, "You can just chill at home and do nothing, knowing you have no cars out." And he's like, "I'll get 15, maybe 20 out. I don't care." And I was like, "Dude, I've
Crazy.
skipped a vacation. I literally have skipped a vacation because I didn't have enough cars out." And I'm like, "But I
Yeah.
envy that. Like, I wish
I'm
I could
like you.
chill."
Yeah, I'm like you. I could never do that. My first year in the car business, I think I worked every day off, never took a vacation. The only vacation I took was the one that Kia sent me on because I won it. You know what I mean? Like that was
Yeah,
it. So, but yeah, it's exactly the same. Funny enough. So
yeah.
that's cool, man. That's really cool. I don't have a second brother, so there's not three of us to go into the car business. And my sister decided to become a doctor like a loser.
There's 4 of us. I got a 10-year-old brother. He doesn't sell cars yet.
Yet. That's not the kid in the videos, is it?
No, no.
All right, last question. We're gonna wrap it up. Is there anything else that I didn't touch on that you want to mention? Is there anything in the business or in the industry right now that's going on that you want to talk about? I mean, there's been no shortage of headlines or things going on in the car business since you decided to leave. So good timing. Floor is yours.
Yeah, I would just say the more time I spend in dealerships, and this is what like really excites me about getting back into the automotive retail world when time comes. Just anyone listening to this, you are missing so many opportunities. I've been at stores. I'm very perceptive. I talk to the sales guys. I ask about processes. I've been stores all over the world. So this isn't like in a little market. You're people that aren't getting trained. I'm not even talking about my training. Like, forget my training for a second. My training's advanced. You don't even want to do my training, right? Like this, I'm not for newbies. That you got newbies that are costing you probably multiply it by 100 grand a month by each newbie. That's what it's costing your store when you take into account service and trade-ins, because these guys don't know what they're doing. They're fumbling your leads. This is why your cost per lead is so high. You're spending tens of thousands, 50s, hundreds of thousands of dollars to get people to your website, and your team doesn't know how to convert it. Or even worse, you have a BDC that knows how to get them in. You don't have a sales team that knows how to send them right back out. It is crazy. And a lot of dealers I see that are successful, it's just because of where you're located. It's not because you're good. Like, you're just actually in a good spot. Where I've been to some dealers that are like a literally fine tooth comb. They are so bulletproof, so good. If they were in a strong market, they would literally eat everybody's lunch. I don't want to like expose them, but I know a group in a really small market that outsells dealers in New York City, in Los Angeles, probably makes more money than them too. And they just have such good processes in trainings. You wouldn't even believe it. I got to see behind the curtains of what they do and how they do it. I'm like, man, if y'all were in New York City, your salespeople would have private jets. They'd be so rich.
Yeah.
That's why these guys could sell so many cars. And it's just like, makes my mouth water. I'm like, dude, if I went in and owned a dealership and took it really seriously, like not third generation, like, we're good either way, like came in with that mindset, like it is, take this to the top or we're failures. Cause that's how everything I do. It's like, if this isn't the best, I'm a failure in life. And I think there's some dealers out there, second gen, third gen, fourth gen, that want to talk like that, want to act like that, but they know deep down that they're good.
Yeah. That's like the Glenn Lundy story, a middle of nowhere destination store that he turned it into, and, sold a bazillion cars, took it up 900%, and then started a training company of his own to do it everywhere else. I mean, that's
I love it.
exactly right. Yeah, no, and that's kind of like what I came from. I mean, dude, I grew up in the business selling Kias in 2009, 2010, in a time where like you couldn't give a Kia away. And somehow we were selling 100, 200 new Kias a month. And it was like, people were like, how did you do that? And the store used to sell 10 before we got there. We got this team in there and we started selling well over 100 a month. And they were like, how did you guys do it? And we were like, because we're all professionals. Same exact mentality that we just outlined. It's pretty crazy. And
Yeah.
those stories and those people, you just woke up the beast in me, because now I'm like, shit, we need to be doing that here. Like, I feel like we could be doing more. I hope my guys are watching this and they're listening to you, because now they got a wake up call, hopefully too. Listen, Russ, this was awesome, dude. Congratulations on your baby.
Let's do
your
it
baby
again.
girl.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
let's do it again.
We'll do a follow-up, man, and hopefully we'll talk at NADA as well. See you in Vegas.
Hey, I'll be there for sure.
Episode 6 with RussFlipsWhips. Russ Richardson. Russ, thank you again, man. If you got value from today's episode, follow the show, leave a quick review, and share it with someone in the business who needs to hear it. For more clips, behind the scenes, and leadership content, follow me on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram at Dealership Leader. I'm Joshua Clinton, and whether you're selling cars, leading a team, or building a dealership, just remember, lead from the front, keep getting better. See you next time.